it's important to understand in investing, number one, what you actually own. So if I go if I go and buy some shares of Amazon, I really want to understand the company. I want to understand its industry. I want to understand its products. I want to understand the management of the company. I want to understand what risks lie in the business model, whether it's like regulations or taxes, whatever it is. That way you have a much more clearer sense of where your money is going. Where people get hurt is they just throw money at some stocks and they say, "Oh, this looks like a good investment," and then something happens to the company and then the price goes down and they start panicking. But if you do your research, if you understand what it is that you're investing in, then you understand what risks are possible, and that gives you much more context. Also, I think it's important to understand, as you mentioned, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So, if you are trying to save, for example, or invest for retirement, we have a lot of time to work with. So, if the markets turn around as they do, if they turn around and things get ugly, well, you're not going to panic as much as someone who only has 1, 2, 3 years before they retire, because they are really, really relying on that money. But because you have time, you know that you can take on more risk. You know that you have time to recover. So having that level of context is very important. So as it relates to the investing side, I think it's important to understand what you own and why you own it. And number two, understanding what it is that you're trying to accomplish, whether it's saving for retirement or if you want to have X by 10 in 10 years, for example. Now we have an amount of time to work with. We understand how much risk we can afford to take. And then that helps you make much better decisions with context, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy this because it looks like a good investment." Because a good investment, it's kind of a subjective term. What's a good investment for me may not be a good investment for you, because we have two completely different goals. We have different levels of tolerance for risk, for example. So I think people need to understand uh, how comfortable they are themselves with risk, because it's very important. Because in order to grow in finance, you do need to take on risks. But at the same time, you need to understand what your specific needs are, your specific goals, and your specific preferences, and then stick to those. Because where people get hurt is they look at the news and the news is talking about this or that, and they're throwing headlines at you, and then people panic and they make a decision off of that. But like I tell people, the news doesn't know you. The news doesn't know what's in your best interest. The news doesn't know, for example, that you're trying to send your kids to college, or that you want to retire by 50, or, the news doesn't know any of that. The news is there to make people watch it. And the way they do that is they play on your emotions, which is the last thing you want to do in your investing. So if you have a clear understanding of what you're trying to do, what's important to you, and you stick by that, I think your chances of success are much higher.
That's really I think very clear and so very precise how you speak about it.